Welcome to Online Trading Summit. Do you know that trading process is an important bridge to bring together the trading edge and psychology in a harmonious way? If you want to learn how to use the different angles of journaling process to actually troubleshoot your trading strategy, you definitely have to hang around for this next presentation. Hi, I'm Philip Teo, your host for Online Trading Summit, and I'm excited to introduce to you Joseph Aquino, our presenter for this session. Joseph has been a full-time equities trader and independent portfolio manager since 2015, before establishing Masino Trading in 2018. Since then, he has mentored and coached more than 400 plus students over the years, some of whom have become full-time traders themselves. Joseph also frequently engages in speaking opportunities to talk about stock trading all over Philippines, Singapore, and the Middle East. He also competed in the Investor Cup trading competition, finishing in the top 10 out of thousands of Filipino traders. Now, with this short introduction, it's my honor to welcome our summit speaker for this session, Joseph Aquino. Hey Joseph, welcome to Online Trading Summit.
Hi Philip, it's an honor to be here.
Fantastic. It's my privilege to have you on board this summit to share with us your journaling workflow and how it can be used effectively to analyze any trading issues. And I think that this is really a very important topic that has often been underrated by many of the traders out there. Now, but before we go into that, for the benefit of those summit participants who might not know you before this, can you briefly walk us through on your personal trading journey? When did it start for you, and what gave you the courage to become a full-time trader and a fund manager right now?
Okay, so Joseph Aquino. I'm a full-time trader for 5 years now, starting from 2015. So it wasn't that all easy during my journey. I basically started out as many retail traders do. So I didn't have any kind of finance background, whether educational, so I didn't have a business background, and I didn't work in finance. So I was a computer engineer, actually, working as a software developer. And then I started out typically just an investor. So as an investor, I was investing back then, way back 2009. It was the start of the recovery of the markets after the 2008 crash. But then as an employee, basically, I eventually got burned out. It was the typical rat race. So I tried to find ways to actually increase my income. And then there was this one day wherein when I was opening my brokerage account, I saw this penny stock rise up by 50% in just a single day. So it was like a moment that actually triggered my interest in the stock market, because here I was holding my investments for 5 years, but they grew up only by 20%. And then there was this one stock that went up by 50% in just a single day. So after that, I told myself, I really need to study the stock market. So what happened was that I joined several trading groups, but they were these groups that were providing trading signals. And what happened was that I actually burned my money. So it was that moment that I started to really take trading seriously. I told myself I need to study this one. So I tried to seek out mentors. That's where I met George and Christian. I think they will be speaking as well in the Trading Summit. So yes, they're actually my local mentors here in the Philippines. So I underwent their mentorship program. And after finishing the program, I told myself, hey, this is the moment that I will be a very good trader. But that wasn't the case. Same as with any other retail traders, after finishing a mentorship program, I actually encountered a series of losses. So from there on, I told myself, what's the missing link? What's the missing recipe? So I think what happened was that it wasn't the same as with other people. Most of the people would try to seek out a new trading system, a holy grail, right? But what happened was that I was more interested in understanding what was the thought process behind how traders think, as well as what were the behind the scenes. So what were they doing behind the scenes? What were their processes? So I think that was somehow the light bulb moment that actually really changed my trading around. I actually even enrolled in several trading programs internationally. So I actually enrolled in the S&B Capital program. This one actually learned about how prop firm traders work. So they were trading in groups. They had this report card system. So that was when my eyes was open that I really need to have high-level processes in order to improve as a trader.
I see. And when was it that you start to see the turning point in your journey in trading to start to realize that, hey, actually, I think I'm getting better at it and I'm becoming more profitable? When did that happen, and what was that evolution like?
It was really all about data. At first, I wasn't able to really understand how to improve as a trader, but keeping a journal really helped me to keep track of that. When I was seeing that I was getting my metrics. I was being more profitable, even consistent. I was hitting my day-to-day metrics, my week-on-week metrics, monthly metrics. That's when I said, was, hey, this is something that is telling me that I can actually make it as a trader. That was when I actually took the leap of faith and told myself, hey, let's go full-time.
I see, I see. And was it a difficult transition to become a full-time trader? What were the things that you need to do to ensure that the transition was smooth, or was the transition actually very haphazard?
It was actually very difficult because, for one, I didn't have any other source of income. So that was actually my biggest challenge as a full-time trader. As I said a while ago, my background is really an employee. So when I made the shift to become a full-time trader, it's actually a change in career. It was a total shift of career. So I told myself I needed to take this seriously. What actually helped me was that I had an accountability group, a support group behind me. So it really helped to have a group wherein we were helping each other become accountable. We were able to report to each other. So that really helped me transition. So I actually have this group of friends wherein we went full-time together.
I see, I see. Oh, you went full-time together.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really a very big risk that you guys are taking. And I would suppose that becoming a full-time trader would also mean that you need to have a certain amount of substantial capital base in order to generate the kind of returns to be able to sustain you on a month-to-month basis, right?
Yep. I guess was where the independent portfolio management came in. I tried to raise capital from a few friends and family, after which I showed them my results, and then eventually the capital grew up. And
okay. And that's how you start to scale up your trading by using capital from other people and taking a cut of the profits that you generate for them.
Yep.
I see. And when do you actually start to look into like coaching and mentoring other traders out there? Was it something that came naturally to you? Was it something that you enjoy doing, or is it just another way of scaling up your business from there?
I think it's a little bit of both. At first, I actually really love teaching. Just to give a brief background, even in my days of employment, I was actually training other people in terms of their skills. So I really had this passion for teaching. What happened was that I saw this area wherein, since I came from a retail background, I wanted to be able to help retail traders try to level up their thought process in the way that other prop firms, other, let's say, big fund managers do. So that's why I really push for the process-oriented trading.
I see. And one more thing is that I see from your background is that you actually took part in a trading competition, and you were like the top 10 out of thousands of Filipinos who took part in it. So can you just share with us a little bit, what do you think is the key element that helped you become a top performer in the trading competition itself? And is it something that is similar to real life trading in terms of trading competition versus real life trading using real money?
I think there's a difference because there's something at stake when you're doing in competition, right? But the thing is, to really set yourself apart from other people, you need to perform the same level. So one way is to really follow your process. When you have a process that you do outside of trading, outside of the competition, that's when you do your high performance level of trading. You have to be able to apply that same thing, whether you're in a competition, whether you're virtual trading or not.
I see. Wonderful. I'm sure you are now all ready to share with us your presentation with regards to your journaling workflow and how to actually use that to analyze your own trading strategy. Now, to the summit participants watching this video right now, I'm sure you are just as eager as me to seek Joseph's insight. But before we head into that, I would like to take a moment to thank and introduce you to our summit sponsor.
Hey, I hear there's this new blue chip. It's going to be Moon. You should bid so not to get wrecked.
You're new to this, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just copy what I do. First,
Trade like eToro's top traders. Turn their experience to your advantage by automatically replicating their trading actions. eToro. Try it now.
isn't this your flaw?
Not anymore. I'm copying you.
All right. Maybe like Chinese.
So hey everyone, I'm here to present process orientation and deep dive journaling as keys to becoming a better trader. So this is actually my trading philosophy. In order to become a consistently profitable trader, I personally believe in, you need to have these three things. One would be you have a trading edge. It could be any kind of edge as long as it has a positive expectancy. What do I mean by that? Okay. Sometimes people talk about, hey, my edge or my system is better than yours. Okay, this is better than yours, but it doesn't have to be the case. Okay, as long as an edge is working, as long as there's a positive expectancy, whether you're a fundamentalist, a hybrid, if you're a technicalist, no, it will actually work. Okay? What you need would be the other things. Okay? You need to have the proper mindset and psychology. Why do you need to do this? Okay? It will actually make you become a stable trader. Okay? So you need to know, like, how do you actually think through a trade? How do you actually react to the market? Okay, but at the same time, it doesn't actually work with just these two things. Okay, you can actually have an edge. You can actually have the mindset and psychology. You can be profitable but not consistent. So what actually drives consistency? For me, consistency comes from having consistent actions, which can actually be driven by your process and your methodology. Under this, you can have your risk management, your journaling, and other areas of your trading. So what does it mean? Okay, so you actually need to have all these areas. Sometimes there will be traders who actually have the proper mindset. They would actually do their task. They would plan for their trades, but they don't have an edge at all, so they won't be profitable. Okay, sometimes you have an edge. Okay, you know your processes. You actually plan for your trades, but you're not mentally stable. You won't be consistently profitable as well. So what this means is that you actually need to be able to have all three things. So you need to be able to actually pinpoint where is my gaps, where do I need to work on. Okay, so let's discuss more about this one. So how can process bring all of this together? So for example, we talked about trading edge, right? So how can process be actually consistent in a trading edge? So for example, there are two things about this. First of all would be, what if you don't have an existing trading edge? Okay, you need to have a process in place to make sure that what you're studying, what you're working on, will actually work. You need to make sure if it will have a positive expectancy. So sample of process behind it would be data gathering process. What kind of data are you gathering? Are you just gathering different data? Because that would be just noise. But if you're gathering data under a certain concept, under a certain principle, when you're trying to prove something, those data will come together to actually be able to help you create an edge. Okay? You should have a backtesting process as well. So you need to be able to check, does this work for this certain condition? Are you trying to create the rules, etc.? You actually need to be able to create a test testing process as well. So this is done in order to see, does my system actually work over a long run? Does my system work based on certain market conditions? Would it work for this setup, for this data set, etc.? So this is just a sample wherein you actually really need to create process in order to actually prove that your system works. Okay, so this is a sample of how having process can actually bring out your true trading edge. So let's talk about other part of it. So this is actually where most retail traders fall upon. So you actually learn work in proving trading edge. So you enroll in mentorships, you go to seminars, you attend that. And the thing is, you're actually working. So what we see would be, you actually do your due diligence, right? So you enroll in a mentor that actually has proven results. You see them posting trades, you see them having consistent results. You also actually see your classmates in the same mentoring program having the same proven results. But the thing is, when it's actually you applying the system, you're actually troubled. Why am I not getting the same results as them? Why am I not becoming consistently profitable? The thing is, there actually needs to be a process in place for you to be able to actually bridge the knowledge that you got in order to become mastery over that kind of knowledge. So this is something that most retail traders don't think about. What they see is that when they enroll in a program, they would automatically become consistently profitable without undergoing any kind of process, right? So this is something you need to think about. We actually have a process in place wherein after I gain the knowledge from my mentor, I'm able to actually process it or to actually become a master of that knowledge in order to actually have it as a personal system altogether. So what could be the samples of this one? Sample would be, you actually have a study process. How well did you actually understood the material? This is actually very important. I've seen traders wherein, for example, the mentor taught an uptrend strategy, but they're actually applying the uptrend strategy on a sideways market. So they're actually not getting the same results as that of the actual edge of the system. Another example would be deliberate practice process. If you think about it, trading is actually a subset of many skills. You have the skill for buying, you have a skill for selling, you have a skill for how you would scale in a trade, you have a skill for how you would scale out of a trade. You have to practice your trade management rules. Okay, so when you're actually trading, you don't actually acquire all of this. As much as your mentors pass on knowledge to you, those will come to you as just plain knowledge. You need to be able to actually apply it consistently. You need to actually apply it deliberately in order to get some additional insights on how you would actually process it and use it. Okay. Additionally would be how well do you apply the system that you have. For example, certain systems work because they follow rules. So you need to ask yourself as a trader, how well do I follow these rules? Do I have a checklist that I follow? Do I have a playbook? Do I have a rule book? Because I've seen this in a lot of traders as well. For example, we have this system that we use wherein the rule is very simple. It's very black and white. Okay, it's a 1:1 risk reward ratio that actually have a very high hit rate. It actually has a hit rate of around 80%. But the thing is, the volume has to be consistent. Your allocation has to be consistent for the edge to play out. So what happened is that one student of ours was actually experimenting with his volume. So he was trying to time the volume. When he feels that, hey, I feel that I'm going to win this trade, he increases his volume. When he feels that he will lose on this trade, he decreases his volume. So it was just one change of the variable. But what happened was that it doesn't work that way, right? Sometimes when he wins small because he changed the allocation. Sometimes when he loses big because he changed the allocation. So what happened was that he just changed one variable of the system, but he did not get the expectancy of the system. So that's actually what traders need to understand when they go into mentorship programs or when they study a working edge. How well do I actually have a process in order to actually master the system that I'm learning? So here's how you can see that, hey, if I have a process, how I'll be able to bridge that trading edge to my knowledge. Okay, so let's go now to psychology. So let's talk about how we can actually bridge psychology and process. So for example, if we talk about trading mindset and psychology, most of the time we'd actually just see quotable quotes, right? We would actually just read advices from other traders, from other prominent traders that would tell us, hey, do this and then this will get better. For example, follow your plan. Never have big losses, right? Easy as it may sound, yes, it's actually easy to listen to these advices, but it's actually very hard to apply it. Why? Because psychology actually involves something as deep as transformation of beliefs. Okay, and if it involves something as deep as transformation of beliefs, there actually needs to be a process in place for you to actually undergo that change. Okay, so it's actually not instant to actually change a belief. Okay, so this is actually very, very important. So I'll give a sample. For example, there was this student of ours where he actually was having a hard time following his trading plan. Okay, most of the time, what would be the advice of people? Follow your plan. Don't be afraid to take the trade. So it's actually easy on the ears, right? But there actually has to be a process to be followed in order to troubleshoot why is he not following his trading plan. So let's try to troubleshoot that trader. Why not following your plan? They could have different answers. For example, they could answer, I'm actually fearful. Your next question would be, why are you fearful? Because when they actually answer different things, you're actually going to be having a different kind of advice. So this student of mine actually had different answers. One actually had the fear of losing itself. He was actually afraid of being a loser. So there's actually a problem about his ego. He was actually personalizing this losses. That's why he was fearful to take a trade. On the other hand, this trader B actually answered that he was fearful because he was afraid of losing money. So there, when you actually have this process of really deep dive troubleshooting, it was actually just a simple follow your plan problem, right? But when you actually undergone the process to actually deep dive the issue, we're able to see that they had actually deep underlying problems, which are actually different from each other. One had the fear of being a loser. One had the fear of losing money, right? So when you're actually able to pinpoint the exact problems, you actually have different advices for them in order to troubleshoot their trading. So this is actually a sample of how you could have a process of transformation when you want to troubleshoot your trading psychology. Okay, so the sample a while ago was what we did with step one. So you need to understand really what is happening. So it doesn't have to be on the surface level. When you have psychology issues, okay, sometimes it actually has a real root cause, such as related to a belief, a principle, a habit, or a past experience. And then we actually need to be able to change it by associating a negative result to the root cause. You need to be able to see that when you keep on doing that root cause, okay, it will actually lead to bad trading performance. And then when you associate a negative result, negative feelings to that one, you want to be able to avoid it. Okay? And when that avoidance, when that feeling of pain is very, very strong, that's when change will actually come from you. Okay? Next would be you need to identify the change needed. Okay? It would be best to associate with success or an identity that you want to be. For example, you need to create an identity that you want to be a disciplined trader. You need an identity that I want to be a trader who is confident with my trading. When you do that, you're actually able to take small steps in order to be able to do the habit. Okay, so you need to be able to track, am I doing this day by day? Am I visualizing myself as a disciplined trader? You need to be able to do affirmations. So this can actually be in different forms. Some would actually do NLP. Some would actually do meditation. So you need to be able to have a process wherein you're actually taking concrete small steps in order to be able to change your identity as well as your behavior. And then as long as you repeat the steps, it will become natural. So this is actually just a sample of how you would create a process to fix something related to psychology. Okay, so here you can see that it actually really goes together. As much as you have a psychology problem, as much as people can give you a psychology advice, you need to be able to have a process in place to actually bridge them together and actually solve the problem. So again, why is being process-oriented very important as a trader? Again, it doesn't mean that when you're process-oriented, you're not actually result-oriented. So sometimes people actually conflict two together, right? So being process-oriented means that you don't look at the results altogether. It means that as much as you identify the results, you want to achieve it in the long term. So what happens is that you know how to frame it in your mind. Yes, it's important to have results. It's important to have goals, but you need to know that it's going to be at the long term. In the short term, I need to be able to identify what steps or what process do I need to undergo in order to achieve that big goal. So the way is that you need to be able to frame it macro results in the big picture, you're looking at the results, but in the smaller picture, in the day-to-day operations of your trading business, what am I doing with my day-to-day process? At the same time, when you do this, it's actually becomes easier to reach the success. Why? Sometimes traders actually look at just the big picture results. So they get burned out in the process of trading. When you're actually able to have small processes along the way, this small process will have small wins which you can celebrate, which actually makes the trading journey more easier. Okay. So next slide as well. So again, why is process oriented being important? Process can actually be defined, measured, and structured. So when you have process, you actually can able to troubleshoot it. Okay, so I'll give you a sample. We talked about a while ago a trader who can follow his plan, right? So let's try to see for this scenario or case study, what about the trader who has the same problem, but the fix was actually in his process. Okay, so we actually had this student of ours wherein he was actually not following his trading plan. So when I talked to him, he said, I can't follow my trading plan because I don't have confidence in those plans. So I tried to deep dive. Why don't you have confidence? Is it a lack of knowledge issue? Because that would be related to the trading edge, right? Would it be psychological? But he said, no, I think I am having a problem following my plan because I don't trust my plans. I told him, why? Why don't you trust your plans? So he told me his story. What happened was he was actually planning his plans late at night. So he's an employee, he goes home late at night, and he's a single father. So when he goes home, he prepares dinner for the kids, he fixes them, he plays them to bed, and then he only does his studying, his charting, his planning late at night. So he starts working on his trade plans at 12 in the midnight. And then he wakes up early, goes to work. So what happens with it, when he goes to work, he doesn't really have a method or time to really study or review his trade plans. And then he says that when he does his trade, he feels very tired. So he does it in a very sloppy way. So here we can see that it's actually related to the process. What I suggest with that, why don't we change your trading process? So I just suggest would be, I told him, don't just take the night off. When you go home, when you're with your family, spend time with your family. And then when it's time to sleep, just sleep early. So what he did was he changes his schedule, he changes his process. He sleeps early and wakes up early in the morning instead. So when he's done with his family responsibilities, he sleeps early and he wakes up early. And the first thing he does would be meditate. And when he meditates, it was just a short time. It takes him just 5 minutes a day to meditate. After meditating, he does his trading plans. So since he's well rested and he's meditated as well, when he does his trading plans, it becomes high quality trading plans. Okay. What happened was when he goes to work, when he opens trading plans, when he trades in the market, he's not actually able to follow his plans because he has confidence in his plans. So there you can see that the way that we troubleshooted the same problem of not being able to follow the plan, it was different. This time we actually said to him that, hey, maybe it's just a change in process that would help you, allow you to follow your trading plan. So this is what I meant a while ago by, as much as there are 3 different areas in trading, it's important to know that you can actually troubleshoot those different areas. Okay. So again, process is also important because they can drive consistent actions which can lead to consistent results. That's a good thing about process. Okay. It can lead to consistency. Now, let's talk about one of the processes that we're discussing for this summit. So I can't discuss all the different processes that I know, but I'll be focusing on the journaling aspect, okay, the journaling process. So why is journaling important? Journaling is important because it actually helps us become more self-aware and accountable as traders. Okay, when you're accountable, it helps you take more responsibility for your actions. You know that when you're actually going to be doing this decision, you have to be accountable. Hey, I will consciously doing this action. What would it mean to my trading? What do we mean to my results? When you're accountable as well, it improves your performance. You're more engaged. When you have a journal, you need to be able to log day by day. It will also be a measure of your progress. What am I doing the month before to the now? You're going to be able to compare. Additionally, you're going to be able to validate your thoughts and ideas. When you're tracking, hey, this is what I thought for this day, why not try to do something different for the next day? Then you're going to be able to compare the results. Additionally, there are several ways to increase your awareness and accountability as traders. Since we know it's important, how can we increase our awareness and accountability? So one would be working with the team. So this is something I learned with how prop traders set up themselves. They would actually be doing group efforts. They would be doing group studies, group charting, group planning. You would even be doing group reflections of their journals. Okay, they would also be introducing awareness and accountability tools. One would be report cards, okay, or any other tracking tools that would help you become more accountable for your actions. So a journal is actually one sample of an awareness and accountability tool. We'll be talking about that in the following slides. So just showing you how our team, our community does this. So this is a sample of how we do a weekly group session. So in this group session, we talk about how we would plan our trades. Okay, so here you can see that we have several groups. So this is one group, another group, then here they are. So I'm just actually monitoring though. So you can see that they are actually doing the discussion. They're talking about their problems, their troubles in trading, and then other people from their circle would actually be able to give them advice. So it's actually very, very important. Okay, so an accountability group is not really the one that the retail traders seek out. Most of them would actually be looking for signals group, right? Or groups that would tell them, hey, it's fine to hold on to a stock even if you're losing. No, an accountability group that works is something that is set with the proper context. When you have the same mission, for example, you want to improve as a trader. Okay, when you understand the same context together, you're able to hold each other accountable and responsible. So that's what a good accountability group is. So this is also another sample of an accountability tool we use. I actually got this from Trader Dante. He's one of the good Forex traders in Twitter. If you know him, you can search for him. He calls this a demon finder. So what is a demon finder? No. So what it does is that you need to be able to track what are your common bad behaviors or bad habits. Okay, you need to be able to list them down based on your different process areas. Okay, so sometimes you have a process area for, let's say, journaling, and your demon is that you're too lazy to journal. Okay, what happens with that? You need to be able to track how many times are you violating or how many times are you doing the trading demon. So what it does is that it increases your level of accountability. For example, when you have a demon that tells you don't trade without a plan. So for example, on this trading day, before you press that buy button and it's not within your plan, you need to mark this tracking tool. So it means that when you mark this tracking tool, you're consciously saying to yourself, hey, I will do this error, I will do this deliberate self-sabotage, even if I know that I will keep an X mark in this tool. So what it should do instead would be, hey, I don't want to mark this, so it will actually help you stop that kind of action, that kind of bad behavior. So it would be a battle between yourself and the tool. The tool is there to remind you, at the same time, keep you accountable that when you do an action, you need to mark it, keep it down. Okay. So sometimes this accountability tool doesn't work to other people. So there needs to be a higher level of penalties. Okay, so for you to actually be able to reinforce that you don't need to do this bad habit. So this is example of a student wherein he broke down into different process areas. So he told himself, this is my errors for execution. So he's overtrading. So he marks it 3 times because he overtraded 3 times for the week. Okay, so this is how they follow this demon tracker. So you need to be able to heighten the level of accountability for this one. You can introduce penalties. For example, if you hit 5 penalties, what would you do for yourself? Okay. So I've also had students wherein they were really stubborn, so they increased the accountability even further. What happened was that instead of X marks, they put here what amount did they lose. So they put here the amount that they lose per mistake. What happens is that their consciousness, their awareness becomes more heightened because they can see that, hey, this error has cost me to lose $5,000 already. Why am I not changing this bad habit of mine? So there are certain ways in order to increase your accountability by just tweaking small areas of your accountability tools. There was also this trader wherein he still was very stubborn. What he did was, aside from reporting the amount lost, he reports to his wife this demon finder at the end of the week. So his wife will see, hey, why are you losing this amount of money? After that, he really changed the trader. When he was accountable to his wife, he became a more responsible trader. So that's a sample of how traders can really find different kinds of solutions. But all the more, when you increase the level of accountability as well as responsibility, you can become a better trader. So let's deep dive now into the journaling workflow. So why is journaling important? So journaling is important because, as they say, you can't improve what you don't measure. So journaling is very important as a means of measuring how we are trading. What are we doing? So why do we need to have a journaling process? These are the things that we need to do. One would be you need to have a routine because you need to have consistent entries. Okay? When you have inconsistent entries, when you have isolated entries, let's say you just log for one day and then you forget to log, you won't be able to really look for patterns of behavior, patterns of execution. Okay? When data isn't consistent, you're not going to be able to analyze that in order to make informed decisions from that data. Also, when you have a process, you're able to have structure. You're able to gather relevant data instead of noise. Most of the time, retail traders just journal what happened during the trading day. So it's just a description. Sometimes they just rant. Okay? When you have a structure, you're able to actually know, hey, I need to log this down, log this down, log this down, or to be able to actually reflect on that at the end of the week, for example, at the end of the day, for example. When you actually have concrete details that you're tracking off, you get consistent data which you can analyze and troubleshoot. Okay, so this is very important because journaling shouldn't be just a gathering of data. Journaling should be a way for you to reflect and create action items. Most of the time, people stay at the data gathering stage. They gather data, they gather journal, they create a journal, but it just gathers dust. They don't improve because they don't process on that data. So what do we need to do? So this is an example of how you could check where am I in the journaling process. Okay? For example, am I just doing data journaling, data gathering, or am I reaching the level 2? Am I now able to analyze and reflect on my journals? Sometimes traders actually do reflect, but they don't create action plans. That's why they encounter the same problem. For example, if you're a trader who journals and reflects, but when you see on the next month that you're doing the same mistakes, there might be something wrong. Maybe you did not create action plans for your data, for your reflections in order to troubleshoot it. Okay. Next would be there are actually traders who are creating action plans, but they're not following through. So you need to be able to have a process wherein you're keeping yourself accountable. Hey, I did this action plans. What did I do? Did I actually really follow through with these action plans? And then lastly, if you're able to do these 4 steps, you just have to check your progress and iterate on this one. So one way in order to have a very effective journal would be for this one. You need to be able to ask very relevant questions because I believe in the power of questions. As this quote goes, successful people ask better questions and as a result, they get better answers. When you get better answers, you're able to come up with better solutions for your trading problem. So a good journal, a very mature journal, actually has very good questions for yourself. As I said a while ago, journals don't really have to be just descriptive or just full of rants. You'd say, I lost for the day. I'm a bad trader. I'm a stupid trader. Sometimes people just log that one. Good journals have very good self-reflection questions or to be able for you to process what happened, what inspired during the day. So this is just a way for you to check the quality of your journals. So what are the samples? So you can actually have multiple journals, or you can actually put this all together. So I'm going to be showing what I personally do. So you should have a trading data journal. So what is the data? So this would be just your trading data, your performance metrics. Okay, for example, your best trades. What are your best setups? Your average winning trade, your average losing trade. What is your winning rate? Your expectancy. How are you managing your risk? What is your drawdown? Your average holding period of winners. So this would be the data related to your execution. So what it is would be the what. It doesn't talk about the why and the how. So that's one of the pitfalls of this one. Most traders only have this kind of journal. So it's just the what of their trading. I'll talk about later the why and the how. So that's actually part of a different journal. Okay. So what we have to be able to understand would be these numbers are just a byproduct of our actions in the market. But we have to be able to understand how did we come to that result? How did we come to that action? What happened behind those trades? Okay, so these would be just your trades in a data or numbers form. So I personally use a pre-existing journal. So you could use, for example, Edgewonk. I personally use this one, Minerva. It's actually available in the Philippines. So it's created by Cosmos. So it's a very good journal. So you can see we're tracking our winners, equity curve. So basically just number statistics. Okay. So again, this is a common journal that traders have. I'll be talking about journals that you should have that would help you improve as a trader. Okay. So next would be a trading day journal. So if you notice, what I want to discuss would be when you have journals, there should be different objectives that they're meeting. Okay. So if you notice, the journal a while ago had this objective of knowing your metrics, knowing your numbers. For this journal, it has different objectives for me personally. One would be it allows me to check my readiness, okay? Because I want to be able to check the correlation of how well was I prepared for that trading day, as well as how well was my results for the day. On the days that I was prepared, that I was ready, let's say I was mentally prepared, emotionally stable, how well did I trade? Okay? I want to see as well what would be my personal reactions, whether executional or emotional, behavioral, to the market movement. Okay? Let's say the market did this, what did they do? The market did that, what did they do? Because I want to be able to look at behavioral patterns. How am I behaving during the trading day? How am I behaving when the market throws these conditions at me? Am I calm? Do I follow my plan? Do I go out of character and do something else? Additionally, this helps me identify learnings and action plans either for reinforcement. So when you're doing something good, let's say you ended this trading day and it was a good day. What you need to do would be, what did I do good that day so I can reinforce it for the coming days? And if you have an error for that day, what can you improve? What can you correct? Okay. So again, the reason behind this is that you need to be able to process the events and how the way of your thinking impacted your emotions and your actions. For example, let's say there was this event which led to a trade. What did you feel? How did you react? Because your feelings would impact the way that you think. Okay. And then that the way of thinking would lead you to executing, which would then be the byproduct of your trading data, which we talked about a while ago. So we're trying to see the how and the whys of your data. How did you come to that? Why did you come to that conclusion? So this is the sample of my template. You can actually copy this. So if you notice, I constantly keep a journal throughout the years, and I really do the journal constantly, week by week. And then I have my template, which I just copy per day. Okay. So this is my trading readiness check. So how are you feeling today? It's a health and wellness check. Because sometimes we encounter problems in trading because we're not mentally prepared, we're not physically prepared. Okay. Do you think you're prepared enough for your trades today? So this is just a simple yes, yes. Do you have any lingering feelings or emotions from yesterday's trading? So this is very important. Okay. Sometimes we have hang-ups from previous trading sessions which are left unresolved. When that happens, we will want to see the correlation. Do we perform poorly when we have hang-ups from previous trading day? Because this could be a signal for you to actually create a process to fix those lingering problems, those lingering emotions, even before the next trading day happens. So sometimes it's catch for you to be able to know, am I lacking some process in my trading? So, or have you reviewed your plans and tools? For example, I do this process where I prime. As much as I do my preparation the day before, what I do at the morning session before the market opens is that I actually review all the key levels of my trade plans for me to be familiar with the numbers. So that's one way for me to have a reminder that, hey, you need to review your plans. So for me, if I read this, you need to be able to do the reviewing. So it's similar to a checklist of how other traders go about. And then this is also very important. Are you ready to manage your risk? At the same time, follow your plans and execute with confidence and acceptance. So this where most traders have that kind of uncertainty, right? You need to be able to manage your trades, but you don't need to be fearful. At the same time, you need to avoid being too risky, but you need to be confident. So you're able to check, am I in the proper balance between these two things? Okay, am I in the state of trading equilibrium? Am I neutral? Okay. And then as it goes on, I log these details. Okay, so stock, I want to see if it's a planned trade. What is my objective for this trade? Is it a trade that I want to just gather data, learn from it? Allocation, this is very, very important as well. There is this data about your planned entry, right? I want to be able to log as well what is my actual entry because I want to see if there's a discrepancy between the two. Your planned entry versus your actual entry is actually a very important data point because, as I said a while ago, when you actually just log your actual entry, this could be the data of your trades, the numbers, right? But when you look at this, you want to be able to see, was there any kind of emotions or feelings or anything that the market did that actually influenced the gap between the two? Are you taking trades too early? Are you taking trades out of plan? Are you taking trades late based on your plan? You want to see what is happening. Okay. And then at the end of the day, want to be able to reflect on this one. What went right today? What went wrong today? Again, what went right would be you want to see what you could reinforce. Because when you see things that you can reinforce, maybe you can create a process out of them. Maybe you can create a checklist out of them. So sometimes when you do a best practice, you can actually move it to this area for you to be able to make sure that you actually do it repeatedly, day by day. Okay. And then what went wrong today? What can be improved? What did you learn? These are just important key points for you to be constantly learning. Because at the end of the day, so we have days wherein we don't end up net profitable, right? But it's important that you actually learn from the trading day. So it's okay to not end up net profitable as long as you follow your plans, but it's important to also learn from the trading day. Okay. And then this is very, very important. Okay. What do you need to fix in order to prepare for the next trading day? This is very important because as I said a while ago, when you have lingering things and your emotions, when you're not neutral, and you take those emotions to the next trading session, it will be very hard to perform with your peak performance as a trader. Okay. So for this one, it doesn't actually have to be really too detailed. Okay. The point is that when you have this kind of structure, it allows you to gather data consistently as well as gather data that are relevant to you, wherein you can actually process the data during the other sessions. Like for example, you have a weekly review or a session where you actually look at your data as a whole. Okay, it's going to be very different when you log your data daily versus when you analyze your data as a whole subset, as a data set. Okay, and then so if you remember a while ago, why is it important to actually log the plan versus actual? Because I want to actually be able to troubleshoot my day-to-day results. So these three things, right? What I plan to do, what I actually did, and what the market did. So those are three things you want to be able to monitor. Because when we have plans, what you're actually doing, and what the market did. So plan versus actual, what you need to be able to look at here would be how well were you able to adhere to your trading plans? Did you actually really follow your plans to the dot? Okay, so this is one important thing that you need to be able to check. And then next would be plan versus market. You need to be able to validate were my plans actually in sync with what I was seeing the market? Was I able to read the market well based on my edge, based on my analysis? Because sometimes people say that, hey, I lost because it's a game of probabilities. Again, it's not always the case. When you do this, you're able to see that there might be instances wherein you actually did an error in your trading. That's why it led to a loss. So I'll give you samples. For example, all unplanned and impulsive trades is actually errors. So those are automatically bad trades. Whenever you have an unplanned trade and impulsive trade, even if they actually won, that's an error. It's a bad trade. Okay, you need to be able to have that kind of mindset, because otherwise you're going to be reinforcing that it's okay to take bad trades, unplanned trades, even if you win. Like, you're reinforcing that it's okay. Okay, so again, any unplanned or impulsive trades are already errors. Okay, and then for losses, you need to be able to check where the gap was. If you're able to execute as close to your plans, so you're close to your plans, win or lose, that's a good trade. Okay, but if you're able to execute far from your plans, there's an improvement point. Let's say you lost, but it was far from your plan. You can't say that, hey, I just lost because it's a game of probabilities. No. What if you executed closer to your plan? Would you have won? So that's one way for you to troubleshoot. Okay, then you would see, okay, for this one, I saw that I was far, my execution was far from my plan. What actually transpired during that day? So that's where you actually monitor the why and the how to get the details for what happened during the trading day. Okay, and then for example, for this one, were you able to miss an analysis wherein your plan or bias could have changed? For example, you're buying at a resistance. What the market did was it actually resisted at that price point. And then when you reviewed your plans, you saw that, oh, I just missed. It was a very, very strong resistance level. So it's not a game of probabilities because you actually missed out on analysis point. So the market was telling you already, hey, it's going to be a very, very strong resistance, but still you planned to try to break that resistance. Even if your initial analysis, if you actually thought about it, was that you shouldn't have taken the trade. So that's one way for you to troubleshoot, because most of the time we just say that if we lose, it's a game of probabilities. No, you need to troubleshoot your planned versus your actual versus what the market did. You need to be able to understand your data in that level. Next would be a weekly market review. So I actually got this idea from SME Capital. So SME Capital has this day-to-day scorecard reporting. So to have this report card wherein they grade themselves of how they did for the trading day. So what happened was when I was analyzing them, they were actually day traders. So they would be taking trades every day. But for me, my time frame of trading was that there would be days wherein I don't take a trade. So this is a good sample of when we learn best practices from other traders, we need to be able to somehow customize that in order to fit it to ourselves. So when I learned about their scorecarding process, I tried to see, does it fit for me to scorecard myself daily? No. What happened was that I actually changed it to scorecarding weekly. So this is some of that one. So how do I scorecard myself? I check for my weekly performance. Okay, and then actually do a weekly self-coaching, which will be based on goal setting and checking of my progress as well as recalibration. And then I would also incorporate some process, which would be a macro analysis, a market sentiment analysis, and then I would have many charts. So I would just review my executed trades as well as my missed trades. Okay. So what I want you guys to understand would be, why do I have a weekly process versus a daily process? Because again, as I said a while ago, it's different when you look at your trades on a day-by-day basis, because when you look at your trades on a day-by-day basis, you're just analyzing the trade for that day. When you look at your trades on an overview or cumulative basis, you're actually looking at now patterns of behavior. You're able to analyze a group of data in order to see, hey, for this week, I've lost a lot of money. You want to see, are there patterns? What do you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I've seen that 3 out of those 5 days, I had a lack of sleep, which led me to perform poorly. So when you do a higher level of journaling, you're actually now analyzing it as a group of data. When you're just journaling day by day, you're just analyzing the data for the specific day. So what I want you guys to understand would be, you can actually even enhance and take this process. Let's say you want to do a monthly review, you want to do an annual review, because you want to, let's say, have an objective of scorecarding yourself on how well you did for the month or for a year. Okay. So additionally would be, when we do an analysis of data as a whole, we want to be able to see for patterns of impulsiveness, patterns of fear, patterns of indecision. Okay, because when we look at patterns, we're able to actually see how can we create a process to address these kinds of patterns or to prevent them from happening again and again. So this is a sample of a weekly market review template that I have. So this is a scorecard that I have. So I just scorecard myself based on these three things: watch listing, planning, and execution. Okay, so I would insert what moved for the week. So again, I trade stocks. So when you trade stocks, it would really change week on week. There would be different names moving, right? So my condition would be how well am I able to spot these movers beforehand? I would score myself. How well did I plan my trades around these movers? And how well did I execute my movers? Okay, so I would just score myself. And then after that, I would place charts for review. And then from here, you can see, it's actually the same questions, but they're at a different level. The goal here is to analyze the data cumulatively. So what did you learn for the week? So you have learnings for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What did you learn for the week? Because when you're actually able to group data together, you might be able to create a process out of them. Okay, so that's very, very important. Because again, the goal is to be able to maintain what you did right. And then, as I said a while ago, check for negative patterns of behavior. And then what could be your goal to work on to address these gaps in trading. So the goal of this journal is to not be just a data gathering journal. It should be a performance building journal. Okay, so that's the goal of a journal. It's not just a diary of some sorts. The goal of a journal is really to help you improve your performance. You need to be able to lift data out of the journal in order to create actionable items or goals. Okay, so for missed trades is what I keep track of. Why did I miss a trade? So there must be a reason why I missed a trade, especially if it's within my edge, especially if it's within my watch list. And then what can be improved? Let's say I should be more focused. I should have alert levels in place. And then what the action items I need to take in order to fix it. So if you notice, these are all self-reflection questions as well as actionable items, concrete actionable items. This is very, very important when you have a journal. Okay. So this is a sample of why I want to understand my score card based on my watch list and my execution, because we want to track for accuracy and precision as a trader. So what you want to do as a trader would be, most of your watch listed stocks should be part of those that move the market, because what happens was that it means that you're able to read the market well. When you know beforehand, when you're watch listing stocks that can have the potential to move within the next few days, next few weeks, it means that you're in sync with your market read. You're in sync with the market rotations. You're in sync with what sectors are actually moving. Okay, so what you need to understand would be, for example, when you have low accuracy and low precision, it means that you have a watch list and you weren't able to trade that watch list. At the same time, your watch list was not part of the movers for the week. So you have to work on two things. You have to work on your watch listing process. Why am I not seeing these movers? There must be an issue. There must be a reason why. Maybe it's not your edge. Maybe it's not your market team. At the same time, why am I not able to trade my watch list? Are you having a fear? Are you not trusting your plans? So there's a different problem for that. So each of this has a different problem. For example, this one, you traded stocks in your watch list, so it's fine. Okay, you're able to trade your plans. But even if you trade your plans, you're not moving. Maybe you're taking bad trades. Maybe you're taking poor risk reward trades. So your watch list is not part of the top movers for the week. So you're able to see that, hey, I have the confidence to take my trade, but there must be a reason why I'm not seeing the movers. There's a gap in my watch listing process. Am I not reading the market correctly? So this is a different trouble that you have to troubleshoot. And then high accuracy, low precision. You missed stocks in your watch list, but your watch list was part of the top movers. It means that, hey, you're getting close, right? So there's one way of you to understand that you're getting progress with your trading. Your watch list is now part of the movers. So you're able to read the market. You just have to work on maybe your mindset, your psychology, because you're not able to trade the movers. But it's a process win. So this sample of A, process win. It means that your process has now improved to the point that you're able to capture the winners of the market, the movers of the market. And then the last would be high accuracy, high precision. You're able to trade your stocks and your watches, so you're able to follow your plans as well as your plans. Your watches is now part of the top movers. So this is why I scorecard my watches thing, my planning, my execution. I want to be able to see where am I in this quadrant. Next would be about goal setting. So if you saw a while ago that we want to be able to identify goals based on two things, right? We want to be able to create a goal based on what we're doing right. We need to be able to reinforce it. We need to be able to create a goal based on what we're doing wrong. We need to be able to correct it. Next would be how can we actually track it? Again, when you have a weekly goal setting, it's a form of deliberate practice, which means that you want to really improve as a trader. You're actually setting goals, and then you're actually setting action items, and you're tracking yourself. You're actually checking yourself, hey, am I doing action items that will help me reach this goal? So identify what is the current goal you're working on, the success factors contributed to this week. So what did you do that helped you reach the goal? What prevented you from reaching that goal? Obstacles, challenges, and has it been met? So what happens was that if it's met, you either scale it to the next level or identify a new goal, or if it's not, what needs to be done to succeed. So I'll give you a sample. For example, there's this trader who wants to be able to scale. So his problem is that he has the confidence to take a trade, but he's afraid of losing money. He's afraid of putting in a larger bet. So he's not betting to the optimal position sizing. Okay, so it would be hard for him to take the leap of faith. For example, he's starting at 5% allocation and he wants to allocate 50%. That's going to be a very big leap, right? What happens is that if you actually take that leap instantly, you're going to be putting additional pressure or stress on yourself mentally or psychologically, right? That's what most traders actually do. So that's what I talked about a while ago. Like, yes, you have a macro goal, but you need to be able to identify micro process or micro steps along the way to reach that goal. For example, you want to be able to allocate 50% volume or 50% allocation to this trade. How can I get there? So you might want to try doing it gradually. You want to try from 5% allocation. Why not try 10%? Why not try 15%, 20%, so on? So that's what happened to this trader. So what happens was that starting from just 5% allocation, he's specifically stated that I want to be able to work on allocating 10% per stock for this one. Then success factor would be, yes, I'm able to allocate obstacles, let's say liquidity of the stock. Sometimes he's not able to allocate the shares because he can't buy the shares that he needs. Okay? But if he met the goal, he can scale to EU1. If it's not able to meet, what happens? For example, he hit a hurdle at 25% allocation. Maybe it's a psychological problem. So he would need help from his peers, his coaches to do that. At least you're able to actually track and go into detail what is happening as you're able to scale on and try to meet your big term goal. As you're working on your processes along the way, you're taking small steps day by day, week by week with actionable items in order to reach that big goal of yours. So again, this is very, very important. Okay? The goal of this one is that it allows you to have structure with the way that you journal, with the way that you set your goals. It's not going to be vague. For example, I've seen journals wherein the goal was very vague. For example, I want to trade less aggressively. That's not a concrete goal. Okay, less aggressive, how? What? Why? Do you need to trade with less volume? Do you need to take less trades? Do you want to wait for confirmation? Do you want to wait for a time signal? So when you have a structure for this kind of goal setting, it allows you to think before you actually log in your journal. It actually allows you to really detail what you need to work on with your trading. So again, to just sum it all up, if you notice, all these things that help you with your performance is actually based on how well you ask yourself questions, how well you put in relevant data to your journals. Again, most of the time as retail traders, we create just diaries. We just create details of what transpired during the day. We just create rants. We just put there our emotions, but those are just data wherein we're not able to actually create action items from them. Journals help you review your performance and provide feedback. Okay, don't just write mere summaries. It's important to ask yourself questions for reflections. Okay? Journal should define performance or process goals. It could be two things, right? It could be performance or process goals. And then it should help you collect data that would support you taking actions to reach these goals. Okay. So again, what I want you also to do aside from this would be how well can I actually adapt these best practices to my current existing journal? How can I increase my accountability levels as a trader? So that's all. So thank you very much. I hope you learned a lot from this session. And then for OTS 2020 attendees, I'll be giving away 10 free exclusive one-on-one coaching slots. So you can just register and the link below if you're interested. And then you can follow me at Messina Trading Facebook. So thank you guys.
Hey, Joseph, that was a very, very useful and insightful presentation. I'm sure the summit participants now have a better understanding of the importance of having a proper trading process, especially in the use of the journaling process to actually track and analyze their own trading strategies and learn how to improve upon it. Now, to help the participants clarify some of those points that you brought out earlier on, shall we head into the Q&A segment right now?
Sure, Philip.
All right, so one thing about I want to cover the journaling process first. After that, I will go on to a wider scope of the rest of the other processes as well. So with regards to the journaling process, one thing that I noticed is that usually journaling is very hard to remain very disciplined in the journaling process itself. The reason is because, like for example, if you are doing a watch list process or analysis process or execution process, you know that this process provides you a direct impact on your profitability, or whether you are going to have profits or losses. But a journaling process is going to be something that requires a lot of feedback and a lot of deliberate attempt to actually improve upon it. So therefore, journaling is something that I realize many traders simply do not have the discipline to do that. So do you have any suggestions in terms of, even for people who are very desired, is there any way that they can trick their mind into be very disciplined in this journaling process?
Thanks for the question, Philip. So my advice would be just start. You can actually customize journaling process. So I actually encountered that problem as well. There was this moment in time when I was too lazy to follow the journaling because the journaling style that I saw was very tedious. When I saw that it was very tedious, I tried to avoid it. But what happened was that I tried to just pick the things that I think would be relevant to me and then work from there. So what I mean would be, the journaling process can actually be very personalized and customized to a way that it wouldn't be very tedious to you. The point is, start tracking data with form and structure, and then just add on along the way.
I see. And do you think that like having an accountability group to discuss your journals would be helpful for you, would be helpful for the trader as well? Is that what you guys do with the group thing that you actually mentioned earlier in your presentation?
Yes, it's actually very, very important. Okay, so it can actually really help because when you're able to be transparent about your trades, you actually be able to really be open to feedback. Additionally, when you think about it, let's say, I talk about adding accountability, right? When you add a layer of accountability, it helps you be more conscious when you're trading. For example, hey, I don't want to make this mistake because I know that I have to report this to my group at the end of the week. So when you have that added layer of accountability, you're able to avoid mistakes, you're able to avoid impulse trades, and so on.
I see. And with that group meeting, you also start to remind yourself, oh yeah, I have this group meeting that I have to do every week. So I have to make sure that I journal down everything. Otherwise, I have nothing to share during the session. Yes. So can you, on the front of the group meeting thing, right? Can you share a little bit of what you guys actually go through during that group meeting? What are the things, the things that you all talk about that helps each other improve the trading competency?
It's going to be very different agendas. Sometimes we have agendas wherein we just talk about psychology. So I'll be asking them to fill up a form, and then we'll be doing a group coaching session. Sometimes we talk about, so it's really different process of trading. Sometimes we do a watch listing process. So what I did was we'll break them into different groups, and then each group would be doing the case studies, watch listing, and then from there on we'll be reporting as a big group. So we'll try to see, hey, does team A have the same watch list as team B, and so on. So what we're seeing was we want to be able to have more or less the same results, because as I said a while ago, right, when you're teaching a same system, we want your students to actually be doing the same or having the same results as well. So what we want to see would be, our students in the community having the same level of understanding of the chart as well. So it would be really different process areas that we're hitting in the study groups.
I see, I see. So if let's say a trader right now is like trading on his own individually, and he wants to actually look out for a group to join for the accountability purpose and for peer support purpose, what are the important things that you think he need to take note of when trying to find a group to actually form or to join?
That's a very good question, Phil, because sometimes, as I said a while ago, accountability groups can be misused.
Yeah.
So when you don't have the proper objective or context, it could be very damaging as well to the trader. So what you need to understand would be try to find committed individuals. So accountability is a very, very strong word. Again, you need to be able to find individuals who want to have the same mission as you. You need to be able to find individuals who have the same goal as you. But the good thing is that with the advent of trading communities right now, you're seeing many educators who are actually legitimate. Like they're really trying to increase the level of quality of the trading community. So you're able to see traders who are actually looking at proper psychology, proper process. So when you're in these kinds of teams, it would really help you grow as a trader.
I see, I see. All right, so I want to understand a little bit more context about your trading workflow and processes as well. So can you walk us through on, let's just take a look at a daily routine of yours. How do you actually go out throughout your entire day planning for all these different process? Can you describe through a daily routine for yourself that includes all these process that you mentioned earlier on?
Okay, so my typical trading day would really vary because I trade two different markets, right? So let's say starting off with the morning, what I do with my morning routines would be I just really review. So I said a while ago, trading process and routines can really customize to the trader based on what works for them. For example, I tried meditating and it didn't work for me. So I tried to see what can work for me. What I did was I found this process that military people do. It's called priming. Priming means that you just mentally walk through yourself to what you will do for the trading day. So that's what military men did. They would go into a room, they would talk to each other, and then prime themselves how they would execute the mission. So that's sample of best practice I took and then created a process out of it. So in the morning, I prime myself. I read my trading dedications. I read my trading rules. So I have this post-it notes here in my workstation. So what I did was I want to be able to be deliberate and concrete about my rules. So I wrote them down, and then I just did the post-it notes here so I can see them and I can remind myself always of these notes. So I read them, I do my declarations, I say a prayer as well, and then I would read my trading plans. So I prepare my trading plans in the evening, but I review them always in the morning. And then when the morning opens, I would check if everything is ready. Is my platform ready? So this is something that I would prepare. Is my broker ready? Is my internet ready? So is my charting platform ready? And so on. And then as the day goes on, I actually don't really monitor the market that much. I have alerts in place for me to trade. What I do in the morning was that I just wait for my signals and I help my students. So I just talk to my students during the day because that's the time of the PZ. It's open 9:30 a.m. The Philippine market is open from 9:30 a.m. to around, it's now half days. We only end at 1:30 p.m. Okay. So most of the day, I just talk to my students. I help them if they have any problems, questions, and then I take my trades as the signal goes on. So that's example of I don't really just micromanage my trades. I just wait for signals to happen. Okay, and then at the end of the trading day, I log my journal. Okay, so if you notice, there are processes before trading, there are processes during trading hours, and there are processes after trading hours. So then I do my daily journal. After that, it's typically just family time. After that, I do my errands, I do work for my family and the other work items. And then late in the evening, after dinner, I do another process. It's for my preparation for the US market. So around 8 p.m., I do my scanning for the US market. I use FinViz, so I have this watch listing process in place. I do the same thing all over again. I read my notes, I read my trading rules, and then I do my watch listing process. So for the US market, I use FinViz to do my watch listing, and then I create my trade plans, and then I just trade the morning session of the US market. And then before I sleep, I set my stops, because in the US market you can actually set automated stops, and then I close my workstation, and then I journal for the day. So after journaling for the day, what I do would be to prepare again for the next trading day. So that's the day by day, which is different from weekly. So this is also something that I evolved on as a trader when I grew or as a mature. Way back in the past, what I tried to do was every day I would reflect. Eventually, as I grew as a trader, I noticed that it doesn't need to be every day. So I moved the reflection part to weekly. So I just log my data daily, but I do the reflection on the weekly. So this is a sample of how my trading and my process evolved as I grew as a trader.
I see, I see. So you are actually a full-time trader, and this entire process and workflow will make a lot of sense for you. But you have actually mentored many, I believe you have mentored many like independent individual part-time retail traders. And what would be your suggestion or advice for someone who can only trade on a part-time basis because they have a day job or they have a day business to run? What would be an ideal workflow or routine for them to look at that will allow them to be very efficient, still get all the processes done properly without spending too much time in it?
A very good question. So again, it all boils down to actually finding a profile, finding a process that will fit your time and schedule. It's very, very important because I've seen a lot of traders try to have mismatched profiles and processes within their trading. For example, like I said, a part-time trader who's trying to do too much. Let's say he's trying to trade 10 setups at a time. So when he does his journal, he's having really a hard time. So he gets discouraged, he gets too lazy and so on. So most of the time when I see part-time traders who are actually successful, a lot of my students actually have been able to decide on just, let's say, one setup. So they're trading and they're mastering just one setup. And when you're trading just one setup at a time, even the processes or the time it takes for you, let's say to watch list. If you're just watch listing one setup, it shouldn't take you too long, right? If you're journaling, let's say you're trading one setup, it might not show up every day. It might show up, let's say, 2 times a week. So even the journaling process gets shortened. So sometimes it's all about really aligning your profile, your style with what you can do.
I see, I see. So over the past few years, you have mentored hundreds of individual traders. Some of them have even become a full-time trader. So can you share a little bit about, based on all these students that you have helped mentor over the years, what were some of those key milestones or those key turning points that you have seen in those students that actually start to show like they join into your group as a new trader? What were the milestones that you see that started to show that, okay, they are starting to become more consistently profitable? And what are the milestones that you see that at which point they actually become a full-time trader? What are some of those key turning points that you have seen in all these students that you mentor over the years?
Yep, sure. So I think I see three key milestones. First would be most of them who were successful have been able to end the exploration stage. So I have students who really are confused with what style of trading they want to choose. So what happens was that you can really set yourself apart by really just deciding. So sometimes you have this concept that you want to be able to find a perfect system for you. It doesn't work that way. What you need to do would be just choose one and work on that. And then you'll be able to see if it actually fits you, if you actually have the results. Because when you're actually stuck between choosing between different kinds of profiles, different kinds of styles, it will just take you a long time. So that's one of the milestones. When you're actually able to decide, I think this is for me, I'll work on it to the fullest. Okay, so that's one. Next would be when they're able to evolve their way of thinking in order to really look at it at a long game, at a long process. Okay, when they're able to look at the business side of their trading. Okay, so when traders are not actually looking at, let's say, the jackpot trades, when they're actually not trying to hit for, let's say, the 100% returns, 50% returns, when they're actually now working on finding consistency by, let's say, just hitting what do we call base hits, like 5% gains, 8% gains, 10% gains, day by day, week on week. That's one. Okay. So that's one milestone. When they're actually able to shift to having the business perspective of trading, when they're actually looking at how can I consistently get this amount of profit because I can scale it to my targets. And then the last milestone would be when they're actually able to focus on their psychology. Because most of the time, when they want to take the shift to full-time trading, they want to be able to handle larger portfolio amounts. And that's when they're having a hard time because you're having this feelings of greed, of fear. So when they're actually able to have a higher level of mental focus, higher level of psychology, that's the final milestone when they say that, hey, I can actually manage a higher funds. I think I can go full-time.
I see, I see. All right. So on that earlier topic that you mentioned about finding the right trading style or trading strategy for yourself that fits you, can you share a little bit about some suggestions on what are the things a new trader might want to consider looking at or consider in order to be able to find that trading style that is more suitable for him? What are some of those things that he can actually look out for?
I think two things. One would be really schedule. How well can you execute and study that trading style given your schedule, given your limitations as well. Next would be, how do you feel trading that style? So it's very, very important to see how do you react mentally, emotionally to a certain trading style. For example, you want to trade a momentum, a day trading, a scalping style, but you're very emotional. You're very jittery. You're having a hard time deciding. So those are key points wherein there might be a profile mismatch. So you need to be able to understand how are you reacting when you're executing a trading style.
I see, I see. So does that mean that your mentees, actually all of them have different styles, different trading horizon, and different processes? Is there any commonalities between all the mentees that you are mentoring?
Yes, most of them have different styles, but two of the most well-chosen styles would be either momentum or swing trading.
And what is usually the trading horizon like for each trade that they have open?
It would be around days, max would be week.
Okay, so from days to weeks. And do you think that is actually a time frame or a trading horizon that is actually suitable for most, let's say, part-time traders to be able to handle based on the kind of schedule that they have?
Yes, for me, I think that's a very good time frame or time horizon.
I see, I see. All right, so I want to go back to the front a little bit to discuss about other processes other than the journaling part itself. Can you share a little bit about your process of actually building that watch list and building the filter down in order to look for trading setup? What is the process like for you in that area?
So I personally use a momentum trading style wherein I use RSI to filter. So I believe in the concept that, especially in the stock market, I want to trade the extremes. I want to trade the fastest, strongest momentum stocks, whether it's going up or going down, because I have a setup wherein I try to capture bottom fishing, okay? So bounce plays. So I actually want to be able to see as well what are the most badly beaten momentum stocks, as well as what are the fastest or strongest rising stocks. So I generally filter via RSI, and then from there on I analyze how it would be moving based on that RSI movement.
I see, I see. So you mentioned just now that you actually trade both Philippine stocks as well as US stocks, right? Is there any major differences you find in trading these two different markets, and how does it affect your strategy in terms of trading these two markets?
Very good question, Philip. So actually, there's a huge difference. The Philippine market is actually a small market compared to the US market. Like, there's so many stocks in these markets, which is why I actually changed my filter and my style in the US market. Due to the fact that there's so many stocks in the US market, I don't trade the same setups I have. So this is an example of how could you minimize, right? So let's say in the Philippine market, I trade around 7 setups. In the US market, I only trade 2 setups due to the number of stocks there is. So when I do that, for example, I only trade the high RSI stocks, the stocks that are reaching the all-time highs, etc. So I have this different process for the US based on the market itself.
I see, I see. But does it actually cause it to be conflicting, to be trading multiple different strategies across different markets all at the same time? How do you actually handle that potential conflicts?
For me, no, because eventually the idea is the same. I'm trading on momentum. I'm trading for stocks that are making new highs, for example. At the same time, my process allows me to be able to really have a different, let's say, journal and template for those markets. So I would just really need to open up this template for Philippines, this template for US.
I see, I see, I see. All right, so Lang, just as a summary to what you have shared in today's presentation itself, if there's any like 2 or 3 key things that you want to bring your point forward to someone who is very keen to study the deeper aspect of a trading process, what are the 2 or 3 main things that you think this new trader is important for this new trader to focus on, so that he can actually lay the right foundation in terms of establishing that right trading process for himself?
So my advice would be, there's no one right process, okay? You need to find a process that works for you. So what you need to understand would be, what is a framework or idea behind having a process? Because when you try to find, is there a correct process, you'll just be jumping or asking so many different persons, right? So what you need to be able to do would be just look for, let's see, the best practice, and then try to understand, how can I apply this into a process that I can use? So what is a process? A process could be something that has structure, something that has steps that you can follow. So as long as you're able to, let's say, take some key points for other traders and then apply it to your own, that would be good.
I see. Fantastic, Joseph. This has been a fruitful session for me, and I'm sure the summit participants benefited greatly from your sharing as well. So thanks again so much for your participation in the summit.
Thank you, Philip. It's an honor.
Fantastic. Now, for those of you watching this summit video, if you would like to keep in touch with Joseph and as well as take advantage of the freebie that he has actually provided you, please remember to click on the web link provided below this summit video to learn more. And with that, we have come to the end of this presentation. I'm your summit host, Philip Teo, and I hope you will continue to learn and apply the teachings from the many wonderful speakers that we have invited on board this virtual summit. Take care, and we talk soon.